First, we must be aware of how we're thinking, feeling, and behaving. Next, we have to move to a space of acceptance. There are some things we can do nothing about, and they hurt, and it's awful, but we need to get on with it. And then action. What are the steps that I am going to take to help myself as I move forward? What am I going to do? What's my part in this? And today I have some good news and some not so good news. Today I want you to just stop what you're doing, take a second and listen to what I'm going to say to you. And I'd like you to write it down, and I'd like you to just take a moment to let it absorb into you and go, okay, what do I do when she says that? Are you ready? No one is coming to rescue you. We live in a culture that perhaps where we may think, that someone will rescue us, somebody will remove our fears, and somebody will do or say something that helps us be happy again, and somebody will come riding along and make it all better. They're not going to. This is your turn. This is your life. This is you trying to do what you need to do to move forward. And so it is your job to rescue you. And today we're going to focus on how the hell do I rescue myself? So welcome. Strap in, get your notepad and pen out. And if you have, if you want to participate in the questions as I do them, you're more than welcome to do it here. If not, I would really encourage you to go do this later. So first things first, I want you to know it takes courage to be here. You could have chosen not to be here. You could have chosen to be anywhere else, but you decided to be here. And it takes courage to show up for yourself. Healing is not a passive experience. Healing is it's a doing experience, right? Healing is something we must do. It requires effort. It requires self-reflection, and it requires a willingness to question the beliefs you have that are keeping you stuck. Now, if you are stuck, give me a high five in the comments, because many of you have said on the Facebook page and in Circle, I do feel stuck. I do feel like I am in a position where I can't move forwards or backwards. I'm just in this spot. Here you are, though, ready, willing, able, and you're like, you know what, I've come here, which means you have the willingness to move forward. You may not be ready yet, but you have the willingness. That showing up shows me that you have the strength, even if you can't see it right now, that you are ready to start making some moves. Our thoughts and emotions can consume us, right? The things that you are saying on here in Facebook, they demonstrate to me how much you are hurting. And the pain of heartbreak is not just about losing another person. It's about a whole host of other things. Many of you have 20, 30, 40-year relationships that may have spanned most of your adult life. And those relationships aren't just about, I lost my partner left. It's about all the stuff that comes with it. Who am I when this happens? What happens to me? A sense of who I am, a sense of self. Am I worthy? Am I lovable? Am I good enough? We question our worth. And we can get trapped in a cycle of doubt and anger and longing. So we're mad at them. We're not sure what's going to happen next. And then we ache for them. We want them back. And this cycle of emotion is just breathtakingly painful. The truth is that healing is not just about time passing. People said, time heals everything. Well, yeah, sure, maybe, but how much time? And that's the important part. And what are you doing in that time? It's about how willing are you to reflect on the patterns that are going on in your life? How willing are you to challenge the inner dialogue that's going on inside of you? And to start to shift from if I could or if they did to I can and I will. We're going to talk about some patterns that keep you stuck today. And I want you to think about them as I tell them to you. I want you to start going, is that me? If it's not, ignore it. But if it hits you and you go, you know what, I do that. Pay attention, write it down. These are the things that are going to help you begin that process of moving forward. I read through a lot of your words over the last 24, 48 hours, and I see a lot of really common struggles, a lot of recurring patterns. That's kind of what my job is, right? To find the patterns of behavior and help people be able to actually see them themselves, because sometimes we're blind to what is going on in our lives. So let's have a look at some of those things. One of the big things that I noticed was lots of you living in the past. You know, you might find yourself replaying conversations. They said this, I said that, we said this, analyzing actions, and then they did this, they did that, and questioning the decisions that you have made or the ones you didn't make. And it can get us into that lost cycle, you know, where we're really just in a washing machine, swirling, swirling, swirling around with the question, what if I'd done things differently? Why did they move on so fast? Was I not enough? And if you've had those questions again, give me a high five or a love heart. This is about just acknowledging where you are at. This isn't about apportioning blame. This isn't about making you wrong. This is about getting you to go, here's where I begin. This is my starting point. This is how it feels for me right now. The question, the reflective question is holding on to these thoughts actually serving you? Or is it keeping you a bit stuck and keeping you in pain? Because when we focus on those things, you know, when your thoughts are running and running and running in your mind and you're stuck in the thoughts, you can't be doing the other things you need to do to help you heal. You know, we can't do more than a couple of things at once. You know what I mean? So the more we have focus over there, the less focus and opportunity over here. Maybe that isn't what's going on for you. Maybe you are in this space of wanting validation about your worth from another person. Maybe you believe if they love me, I'm worthy, and if they don't, I'm not. For those of you who feel that, there's a deeper wound after a breakup. It's more than just heartache. It's a sense of your whole worth being shaken up. You know, if I'd been more lovable, would they have stayed? Why do I still crave validation when they hurt me? Why do I feel empty without them? And if those are the thoughts that you're feeling again, put a high five or a love heart in. This is about you thinking about, do I say these things to myself? Because these are the things, the keys that are going to help you as you start to move through this process. We have a whole, nearly 6 days left. I want you to be participating in this and working with me. I can tell you anything, but it's not going to change your life. You implementing what I suggest is going to change your life. I want you to understand that self-worth should not be outsourced to somebody else. It begins with the word self for a reason. We should find worth within ourselves. Now, for some of you, be like, yeah, excellent. I don't know how to do that. That's okay. That's why we're doing the workshop, right? It's something we build from inside of us. It's a powerful question that we ask ourselves, you know, what would it look like to give myself the love that I seek from other people? What would that look like? What would that feel like if I felt filled up enough without them having to tell me that? Maybe that isn't what is happening for you. Maybe you are stuck in the pain of betrayal and abandonment. And you might have more than one thing going on at a time. You may be thinking the other things as well as. So maybe you're feeling the betrayal and the abandonment. Maybe there was infidelity. And I saw lots of you where you had said, you know, your partner had moved on quickly, or you suspected that maybe they were having an affair before the relationship ended. Maybe you felt quite emotionally neglected in your relationship, or maybe you feel like they just replaced you so fast. You know, if there are questions that have been unanswered by you, then unanswered by them rather, then we can have stuff that consumes us. You know, how could they do this to me? Why did they get to move on so fast while I'm stuck in pain and heartache? And a big question that I've seen a lot, you know, am I ever going to be able to trust anybody again? You know, if you've been in a relationship with somebody for decades and they lie to you and you believe them, the trust is broken in ways that's very hard to describe, because we lose that. It's like, I know this person. I know them inside and out. I've been with this person my whole life. And now I don't even know who they are. So it can be incredibly painful. Many of you have said you're scared about moving forward. What next? What's the next thing? Because it's difficult, right? You have the separation, which is very painful. You may have to look at where you live. You may have to think about your children. You may have to think about finances. There may be lawyers involved. There's a lot of stuff going on all at once, and your heart is broken. So then there's the very quiet whispers, what if I never ever find love again? What if this is it for me? What if I'm alone forever? Or what if I let go and then they come back? What's going to happen then? Fear is a really normal part of what you're going through. It's a normal part of the grief process. Moving forward isn't about forgetting them. It isn't about not feeling anything about them. It's about choosing yourself. Are you ready to choose yourself? And be honest with yourself. If you're not ready to choose yourself, you're not ready. But if you are, then declare that. I'm choosing myself. I'm gonna look after myself. I'm gonna do what I need for me. As I said at the beginning of the workshop, self-reflection is such an important thing. Healing isn't just about getting over someone. It's about understanding yourself on a really deep level. It's about asking yourself hard questions and being honest with yourself and honest in the answers that you give to yourself. It's about articulating, being able to express and write, perhaps write. What are my beliefs that are keeping me stuck? What sort of things have got me in this stuck place? So here's some questions to reflect on, and you can do this now or you can do this later. I really encourage you to do this work. This is part of what is going to change things. So reflection is important. The questions, and you can answer them here, or like I said, in your journals. What beliefs are holding you back and keeping you stuck in pain? And I'm going to give you some examples so you can have a think about that. What do I think that I've lost in this breakup? What am I telling myself that I've lost here? And is that actually true? Have you abandoned yourself in this relationship? Did you stop focusing on you and what you needed? And how are you going to show up for yourself moving forward? And do you truly believe that you are worthy of love and happiness? Some of you don't. Don't worry, we'll get there. Okay, we will get there. What would you do differently today if you did love yourself and you did believe you were worthy? So I want to shift you from if I could to I can. Everybody tell me you're here, because I get nervous when things are quiet. So just let me know that you're here and you can hear me, and that you're understanding and receiving what I'm saying, so that I know that everybody's still alive out there. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, because you'll know when I come and do the rest of the work. And of course, do like, comment, and share my work with people who might benefit from it. All right, let's shift the focus, right? Let's shift the focus from if I could, and let's start saying, I can, I will, I'm going to, right? Maybe it begins with, I can challenge the beliefs that are keeping me stuck. I can break free from the thoughts that no longer serve me. I can love myself, even if they didn't love me the way I deserve to be loved. I can stop waiting for closure to come, and I can find it inside of myself. Ladies, it won't happen overnight, but if you repeat those things to yourself and you start looking at the I can of this, life gets easier much quicker. I promise you, by Monday, you're going to feel very, very different. Do the work. Some days you'll feel like you've progressed. Other days you might feel like you've got setbacks. But every single time that you choose self-reflection over rumination, over the churning inside your head, every time you choose self-compassion over self-judgment, you're moving forward. Instead of, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that, if only I'd done something different, to, gosh, this is a really difficult time, I'm really struggling. In our journey ahead, I want us to explore some really practical ways for you to do things. Things like identifying and challenging the beliefs that are keeping you stuck, rebuilding your self-worth from inside of you, releasing the need you have for closure, and finding a place of peace in accepting the situation as it is. I want to help you move forward with confidence, even with the presence of fear. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both side by side, and I'll show you how. As I said, nobody is coming to rescue you. Not from your inner demons, not from the absence of self-love or self-compassion or self-acceptance. No one else can make your life more fulfilling or more satisfying. You are going to have to do that. Shifting from "it happened to me" to "it happened for me." You know, I had a bit of an experience this week. I was locked out of Facebook, where I gathered thousands of women from around the world to share how to move forward from heartbreak to healing. And I had to pivot real fast. I went, okay, what am I going to do? Thank goodness I've got YouTube. We'll move everybody over there. I could have said, why is this happening to me? Why are they doing this to me? Instead, and there was a bit of that. Instead, it was like, okay, pivot. You've got to move. You've got to change. And that's what I did. And that's what I want you to do here. If we focus all of our time and energy on, why did they do this to me? We miss the opportunity to look at, what is happening for me here? How's my life going to change here? What is the future going to look like for me? This could be the beginning of the most amazing time of my life. And I work with women who come out the other side of this. And it often is one of the best times of their life. They've learned so much. They begin the process now of changing what they are doing in their lives, and they become more present for themselves. So it's really important to just make space for it, right? The lens that we look down, the way we talk to ourselves really matters, and the way we move through the world. You know, you see people walking and their shoulders are slumped and their heads are down, and we know they're moving through the world with sadness and grief and possibly depression. With our shoulders back and our heads up, we start to move through the world in a different kind of way. Everything we put out there comes back to us, oftentimes in bigger ways, sometimes in ways that we really take our breath away. Whether we like it or not, we actually are the architects of our own reality. And people go, yeah, David, that's bullshit. No, I'm going to absolutely get you to question that, because I know that psychologically, what we focus on in life, we don't see lots of things. We actually push away a lot of information if it doesn't fit in with the narrative we have. So we don't see things unless we believe them. So our reality is actually formed by the prejudices and the biases that we have. We are so focused on our lane, and when we only see those things, we create a reality that really reflects back that. So my job is to help you widen your lens and start to see the world in a different way. Our minds are really powerful, more powerful than you can imagine. A tiny little internal shift can make a huge difference in your life. Changing, I can't do this, or it's unbearable, or it's just awful, it's not possible, to I can try. And if you can't try, I'm willing to try. It makes a huge difference. They're only a few words, but they really make a difference. We have to make choices. And you have to decide what choices you're going to make. Not making a choice is actually still a choice. So we have to be conscious of the choices that we're making. We have to train ourselves mentally to take action in spite of the way we think, feel, and behave. It takes 10 seconds of courage. You know, at one point in the not too distant past, you saw something pop up on Facebook and you went, I'm signing up for that. 10 seconds, you press the button, you put in your email address, and you waited. 10 seconds. And then you had to wait for the group to open. 10 more seconds of courage, going, I need to do this for myself. I want you to reflect on the negative self-talk you've got, because that nasty little voice inside your head, that wee little voice that is very, very irritating, we need to start addressing that noise. She's a bit mean, so we're going to talk to her and get this inner dialogue changed. So I'm going to read you a list of things, and I want you to write down the ones that hit you. Some will not. Some of you go, I don't do that. I don't think that. Some will hit you and you'll be like, poof. And if all of them hit you, it's okay. But the sooner you understand what the negative self-talk is, the sooner you can start to change it, which is what we want to do. So here we go. Examples for you to think about. And if any of these you think that's me, again, do the 0 to 10 that we did in session 1. Oh, it's about a 2. I don't really, that doesn't come up much and it's not really painful. Or maybe it's a 10 out of 10. I do this a lot and it's really painful. So let me know in the comments as I read these out to you. Some of the things that we tell ourselves on a regular basis. Other people are more important than I am. I'm not attractive enough. I'm too emotional. Now, people may have told us that you're too emotional, but maybe if we believe it too, I'm too emotional. I'm not a good enough wife or mother or partner or woman. I'm just not good enough. I believe I'm never going to succeed, so why would I even bother trying? Everybody else is doing better than me. I mess things up. I don't deserve happiness. I'm a failure. I'm not smart, I'm not creative, I'm not really talented enough. I'm never going to change. This is just who I am. Did any of those hit you? Because if they did, those are messages that are going on in your subconscious. Oftentimes our inner critic is gnawing away at us and biting away at us. Getting those things to be really conscious helps us to change the story. Fear tends to hold us back. It holds us back from making changes that we need. Making changes over time, using our energy in ways that are going to actually move us forward, are really a good idea, but it can be tempting to just go, it's too hard. But if we're not holding on and we're not being patient and persistent and taking action on a regular basis, nothing's going to change. We need to be willing to do something different, and we need to be willing to believe that we can do something different. And confronting our fears and trusting in our abilities while we're trying to navigate life's challenges, it's not simple. If it was, nobody would be here. But insisting on denying reality and framing out our lives as we would wish them to be rather than how they actually are, that is what delays moving us forward. That's what prevents us from having meaningful change. Many of you are like, when is it going to stop hurting? And the answer is when you allow it to hurt you and you allow it to be there, and then and only then will you have sufficient energy left to move forward. The power of truth and self-reliance is that the truth is going to set you free, but before it does, it's going to piss you off. I'm really sorry about that. I'm sorry that sometimes this is hard truth, difficult truth. I was talking to some of my gorgeous members yesterday about the fact that they come to me for coaching, but they know that they're going to get the love from me that they deserve, which is when they ask me a question, they want me to help them move forward, and I'm going to be honest with them. I'm going to say that was a poor choice. Maybe you needed to do this instead. This person's probably not good for you. Look at the data. Get past what your heart is feeling. Look at the data. So the truth will set us free, but it'll piss us off first, mostly. You are the only hero available to you. You have to understand that you are the one who chooses. You are the one who makes everyday choices. You are writing your own life story. There aren't any perfect partners. There are no perfect lives out there. It's just a lot of hard work and the willingness to do the work. You're going to have to rescue yourself. You're going to have to be the hero in your own story. And the thing is, you don't have to do it on your own. That's why you're here. I'm here to support you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to raise your awareness, try and poke and prod and get you to be a bit reflective. But I can't change one thing in your life. I can make you more aware of things. I can give you guidance and support and strategies. What I can't do is the work. You have to do the work. That's your job. I want you to start questioning some of those strongly held beliefs you have. Because when we challenge the belief, it opens up whole new pathways for us. From this to that, we start to really go, actually, there's lots of other choices moving forward. We have more alternatives, better directions that we can move in. So I want to talk about your limiting beliefs, and I want you to start to identify, okay, what are some of these things, these beliefs that I have inside of me that keep me stuck? So I'm going to read a bunch out to you. Again, if anything resonates for you, let me know in the comments. If it doesn't, that's okay. But the ones that do, write them down, because those core beliefs, they're called core beliefs for a reason. Those core beliefs we can change. You can address them, you can begin to actually challenge them, and you can change them. So, a core belief, these are common core beliefs that many people hold. I'm not worthy of love. And that's usually due to past experiences or having a really negative self perception. If you are anxiously attached, if you have a fearful attachment style, then there's a likelihood that you have a negative self perception. Maybe you have a core belief that I always attract the wrong people. And we tell ourselves, I'm just drawn or attracted to partners who are not suitable. Maybe they're addicted to something. Maybe they can't get a job. Maybe they always rely on me. Maybe I get nothing back from them. We're choosing partners who are just not there for us in the way we need them to be. Maybe we have the inner belief that I'm just not good enough. Feeling inadequate and believing that you don't have the qualities perhaps needed to be in a fulfilling, loving, connected relationship. Maybe you believe in your core that love actually hurts. And I was one of these people, by the way. Maybe we assume that love always leads to pain or to disappointment because we've experienced that in our past. And it leads us to fear getting hurt again. So we kind of don't want to get out there too far. Maybe we believe that we can't trust anybody at all. Maybe we have this deep, deep, deep belief that it's just not safe to trust other people in relationships. Maybe because we've been abandoned or betrayed in the past. Maybe we have this other belief also born from our attachment style, which is I need somebody to complete me. This is reinforced in our culture on a daily basis. It does my head in. The songs, the movies, the books about, my other half, my better half, my twin flame, my trauma bonded person. Like, this is bullshit, ladies. Like, it is such total and utter bullshit. Relying on a partner to fill us up emotionally in the spaces that are empty, in the spaces we don't feel good enough or worthy enough, believing that you need somebody else to feel whole is dangerous. When you outsource self-love, you are putting your lovability in the hands of somebody else. And if they love you, you feel loved. And if they don't, you feel like you're not lovable. Be mindful of that. Maybe we have a core belief that relationships always end in failure. Maybe we're expecting relationships to always end, assuming that people just don't have sustained, successful, long-term relationships, and it's just not possible. It is, by the way. Maybe you have a core belief that says, I'm doomed to repeat the patterns of my history. This is because of the patterns that we've always done and the mistakes we've always made. And so we repeat them, and we tell ourselves, well, this is just who I am. I can't change this. You can, by the way. Maybe you're afraid of intimacy. Maybe you have a fearful attachment style and getting too close is scary for you. Opening up emotionally is too scary for you. You want a relationship, you want the connection, but you're a bit scared of doing that. Frightened of being too vulnerable or being hurt again. And maybe you have gone through a lot of really challenging things and you've decided that you're not worthy of commitment. You believe that you're just not worthy of it. And so you get into this cycle of relationships with friends with benefits or people who are just not there for the right reasons. And you're in this cycle of just cycling through people and not getting the long-term committed relationship that you're really looking for. It can lead us to self-sabotage and really, pick these people without thinking about it. Getting into a cycle, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we've got to reframe this stuff. We've got to actually shift it and start to think about, okay, if this is the old story, if this is what I'm believing, how am I going to shift what I believe? So here's some reframing stories for you, things that you can say to yourself instead. When you hear the noise doing what it does, reframe it. Maybe you could do this. My age brings wisdom to me, experience, and a deeper understanding of what I want in life and what I want from love. Maybe you can tell yourself, my past relationships have shaped who I am today. They don't define me because every single experience I've had in my life is a valuable lesson. Maybe you can remind yourself, I'm adaptable and I'm open to growing. This is very important, and I'd suggest you write it down. Rejection is not a reflection of my worth, but a redirection towards somebody who is better suited to me. I'm going to read that one again. Jot it down. Rejection is not a reflection of my worth. It is a redirection towards somebody who is better suited to me. Or love doesn't have an expiry date. I'm ready and I deserve a fulfilling relationship at any stage of my life. Or my value is not determined by being in a relationship with somebody. Every single person's journey is unique, and I trust my path is unfolding perfectly for me. Maybe we can remind ourselves, my past has been really challenging, but I'm capable of rebuilding trust. Or my self-worth isn't contingent on being in a relationship. I have value on my own. I'm complete on my own. Or I can learn from past experiences, and I can learn how to create new patterns of being and doing in my life. In life, there is an equation. It's the happiness equation. And I would like you to also write this down. And it's really important. Happiness equals reality divided by expectation. Happiness equals reality divided by expectation. And it's really important for you to understand what that means. And it means that we cannot be happy if our reality and our expectations are out of alignment. Now, what might that look like? Well, maybe we have an expectation that our partner's coming back. They're just going to have a break. They're not feeling great about life, but they're going to come back. I expect them to come back. And they're not coming back. And it's a month and 2 months and 3 months. And they're saying they're just taking a break. And they're trying to work it out. So if my expectation is they're coming back and they haven't come back, then I'm not going to be happy because my expectation and my reality are out of sync. Maybe I have an expectation that they're not coming back. They're not coming back, and it's really hard, and it's really painful, and I don't like it. But you know what? I accept it. They're not coming back, and it's painful. It's really painful. So my reality and my expectations are in alignment. There is a possibility now. There's a possibility now for me to get happy, because even though those two things are happening, there's also other things. Maybe I have a grandchild that I love. Maybe I have a job that I love. Maybe there are moments where I see the sun rising or the moon rising. Maybe there's a bird singing. Maybe there's something joyful in my life. So I can have this sadness, and I can also be happy about other aspects of my life. If your reality and your expectations are out of alignment, happiness cannot happen. It just can't. So how do we improve our reality? How do we get our reality better than it is? Like I said, hoping for reconciliation from an ex has, it can be very painful. When we're waiting for them to decide, they've said they want to think about it. They've said they needed time. They've said, well, hey, what about you though? What are you saying and doing? What do you need from you? Maybe we have an expectation that relationships should be easy. Relationships are hard. They're hardcore too, and relationships are where we grow the most. So expecting them to be easy and people who love each other shouldn't fight and people who care about each other shouldn't be hurt, that's not true. It's just not true. So understanding that relationships are hard and they're worth it. And so our expectations and our reality can align again. The expectation that they're not going to have another affair. They've had two affairs, or 3, and you're like, yeah, but this time they've said they won't. Then your expectation, your reality is out of sync. If they've had a couple of affairs, I'm sorry, sweetie, they have affairs. They know they can get away with having an affair. And it's your job to go, actually, no. If they're having affairs, then I need to accept that they're having affairs. And I need to act accordingly. We really need to claim our own responsibility in this experience. We can't do anything about them. We can only do what we can about us, where we are at, what we are doing, what we are feeling, what we are thinking. That's all we can do. So today has to be the day that you claim responsibility for your own life. Stepping out of denial, what you wish it would be, how you wish it could be, and facing life full frontal, like really going, this is how it is. Not how you wish it would be, but how it actually is. Even in those moments of fear and discomfort, committing to show up for yourself, committing to yourself, I am going to take care of myself. I will not abandon myself, regardless of what is going on in my life. You've come here because you want to make positive changes. You want to move away from the heartache and the sadness and the pain and the suffering. You want to do that. And if you want it, and if you're willing, then you can choose yourself. And today you really need to choose yourself. I think that's the most important thing, right? We have to be willing to say, right now I choose me.